ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the January 6, 2020 meeting of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners to order. And I'd like to begin that by asking Commissioner Thomas if he would lead us in the invocation, and Mr. Davis if he would lead us in the pledge.
Mr. Chairman, in lieu of our esteemed people in the audience, I yield to the man of God, Reverend Justin Mitchell, to do the prayer. So, even though I'm an ordained deacon, he's the minister. I'd like him to do that.
Awesome. Well, we just thank you so much for this time together, and I pray for this meeting, and I pray for our community. We just pray that you just bless this time together for us. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, the first item of business on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda, and I have a change for the agenda. I'd like to run back, you gentlemen, on citizens' concerns. I'd like to add item B, Mr. Donald Griffiths, in reference to an item called tannerite. We can explain what that is.
What is in it?
Tannerite. It's an explosive type powder that
Shoot it with a rifle and
He got it with him,
it's illegal.
we just need to address this. It's being used so in the county. We'll talk about it.
I don't need no flashback, okay?
No. Any other changes to the agenda?
No. I have one. Just to make you aware, on the Solid Waste Authority, I did speak with Mr. Birch. He has moved, and he's going to be sending me a letter, so maybe we can put that on the next.
That's what we're going to do. Okay.
Yeah, we'll put it on the next one, and I'll try to find somebody to appoint on the Solid Waste Authority.
Okay.
Just
Any other modifications? Having no other modifications, I'll make a motion we adopt it.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Okay, the next item of business, which we do at the beginning of every year, the first meeting, is the election of the chairman.
Mr. Chair, is that done by motion from the floor?
Mr. Harris, I'd like to make a motion to pick Kevin McCrary as the chair. His district hasn't been represented since 2009.
I'll second it. Can I second?
Do you want to? All right, we have a motion in a second. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
No.
Commissioner Thomas,
No.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Hires.
No. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to retain you as the chairman.
All right.
I'll second that motion.
So we go 3 years in a row. No rotation with the chair. We've got 5 districts, 5,000 each, and we don't have representation from districts that long.
It's chosen by the will of the commission.
It should be the will of the people a little bit too. Good.
All right, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
No.
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary.
No.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the election of the vice chairman. I'll make a motion that Commissioner Thomas continue to serve as vice chairman.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
No.
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
No.
Commissioner Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, approval of the minutes. And by the way, gentlemen, I'll be honored to maintain this seat for another year. Appreciate your confidence. Next item is the approval of the minutes from the December 2nd, 2019 meeting, as well as the call meeting of December 10th and call meeting of December 13th.
Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes.
I trust you all had a chance to look at them. I'll second the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hickox?
Yes.
Commissioner Hires?
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Next item, under presentations and announcements, Mr. Mike Malloy and Shauna Quinn in reference to the healthcare enrollment program. Gentlemen?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Chairman, Madam Mayor, this is in preface to item number D of new business, of renewal of the health care. It goes from February 1st to February 1st, or January 31st.
So we've come tonight to talk to you a little bit about health insurance, and wanted to, just tell you a few things, some of the things what we've done. Mr. Jeffers has worked very closely with us to try to make sure that we curtail any kind of problems that we may have with health insurance. And as y'all know, I don't have to tell y'all, but it's a huge item for you to budget for. So what I wanted to talk to you about is what we're doing to try to help some of your employees. So the first thing we did this last year, we started with a health fair. And in that health fair, we started doing actual blood work, along with a health risk assessment. And basically what that does is for some of the people who don't go to the doctor, you face it, most men don't go to the doctor unless they're about to die. So what we did is we kind of forced everybody to go and do these tests. Not for any reason other than we wanted them to know what their labs were, cholesterol, blood pressure, some of this kind of stuff, diabetes, prostate, some of that kind of, those type of things. We had an overwhelming great response last year. It was really good. We're very happy. We partnered with Wayne Memorial Hospital and Joe Arardi. They've been great to us, helping us do the lab work and everything, because it was a chore trying to find somebody to do this stuff. So we were able to do that and had really good results. Because if you don't go to get your blood tested, you don't know if you got high cholesterol. And Mr. Jeffers knows that I tell the story of the first person, when I got the book of all the labs, I opened up, the first guy who was there, his cholesterol was like 600. And that's really high. 220 is high. His was 600. So it was really high.
And it was a young.
It was a young guy who was, I don't even think he was in his 40s. He was in the late 30s. So things like that are what we're trying to catch, because when you do preventive maintenance now, we don't have to worry about the strokes and the heart attacks and all the other stuff down the road. So that's what we're trying to do. Other thing that we did is we put in a plan called Health Connect. What Health Connect is it's a program where if someone has to have an MRI, or they have to have a colonoscopy or a mammogram or any kind of diagnostic testing like this, basically they have to get pre-approval through the insurance company like you do on anything. But there is a system in place where when that happens, it codes to somebody to call that employee and ask them where they're going. So what we do is, or what the company does, is they look at that and they say, okay, well, you're going here, but if you went here, you could get it done for a whole lot less money. So that's something else that we've implemented. And from October 2018 through October 31st, I'm sorry, November 1st, 18 through October 31st, 19, we have saved, or the cost avoidance is what we call it. Cost avoidance is about $900,000. So what that means is, out of your employees who have had to have some type of diagnostic testing, they've been contacted by the Health Connect program people, and been sent somewhere else. And not all of them go, of course, you know, they're gonna go, if I want to go here, then I'm gonna go here. But some of them are like, well, I don't know where to go anyway, so they go to that place where we ask them to go to, and it saves not only you, but the employee and the, you know, the county money. So it's been a great, great thing. We've gotten our money's worth of it, for sure. The other thing that we implemented was phone calls. We talked about having the employees being reached out to people from HealthGram. And HealthGram is your third-party administrator. They're the one that pay all the bills and everything. So what we did is we started phone call conversations. So a nurse would call, you know, and just talk to you, and they had to call everybody. It was all the employees, not the retirees, but just all the employees. They had to call everybody. Health Connect did. The employee didn't have to talk to them, but if they didn't talk to them, there was going to be, you know, some increases in premium and stuff like this. So what we did was we started out phone calls. We've done those a couple years. We're thinking that probably we're going to cut back on those this year, and let's go a couple more years, because I think everybody's kind of gotten in the groove of what to expect. So they kind of know, okay, I need to be taking my medication. I need to be going to my doctor. I need to be having a PSA if I'm over 50, colonoscopy if I'm over 50, mammograms, you know, all that kind of stuff. So we're working on that right there.
Can I interrupt you?
Yes, sir.
I think that the calls, in my opinion, over there, need to, you know, if they're looking at the data they're getting over there, and if somebody's been diagnosed with something, and the name is, and if they're not following through, what we think may be following through, that is a candidate that really needs to be reached out to.
That's right.
And asked over there. But, you know, some of the regular calls over there, we may cut those back a little bit.
Yeah.
And I just want to add that in there.
And we talked about that, you know, because it's one of those things where you do it so many years in a row, it kind of gets annoying, number one. And number two, you kind of get where you're like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, yes, no. I know the questions you're going to ask me, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you what you want to hear. So I think if we hold off maybe a year, cut back for a year, and then start it back up in maybe another year, I think we'll be okay. The other thing that we did do, just so you guys know this, anybody that did not participate in the wellness plan, they did get an increase in their premium. So if you're an employee and you didn't go have your blood work done, and you didn't do the health risk assessment, your premium went up. All right. We do know, you know, some of those people who did do it. I don't personally know who it was, but some of them are either very young and don't care and think, hey, I'm healthy, or they're older and like, I'm making enough money I can pay the premium. I don't care either. So that's one of those things that we've implemented also as a reason why you should do the blood work, not just to try to keep you healthy, but to do that also.
What percentage you think actually did the wellness program?
I would probably guess somewhere between 85 and 90%. It was a large amount of people that did. There was only a handful that didn't do it, really, honestly. And I think there was less this year than last year. So and just so y'all know, that thing's working. The wellness plan is working, because you can't quantitate how many people we've helped, you know, by getting their blood work and show them the results and let them go to a doctor and get medication, take care. You can't. You know, God's the only one can do that. We can't do that. But there is something to be said about the preventive maintenance. So we have been working on that, and I think it's working. I really do.
I think the first year, Commissioner, that I was here, and we had this conversation of the health fair, I think the attendance was way down. It may have been 50. It was that. Last year, the year before I was there, the attendance was 150, and it was a very good participation. And largely, the hospitals helped us out. The school system helped us out there. A lot of vendors came in and offered some tools and information for our employees. But the blood work was taken. The health department also gave flu shots out there too. So it has been good participation by the county employees.
And you know, you've got an aging population. I mean, there's no two ways around it. I think your average age of your employee is 55 years old. So you've got an aging population. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to be proactive and try to reach those people who may have an issue and try to get it under control. So I'm basically here just to tell you some things that we are trying to do to promote promote some more healthy lifestyles. You know, we've gotten where every gym in Wayne County gives a discount to your employees. All they gotta do is go up there and tell them they're an employee of Wayne County, and they get a discount. So that's been a big hit, I can tell you right now. So, Michael is gonna tell you a little bit more about the nuts and bolts of the plan and everything. But before he comes up, do y'all have any questions for me specifically? Okay.
I just appreciate the fact that it seems to be working for us, and it's increased so much in the last 2 years.
Well, if you do, I mean, we're not going anywhere, we'll be here, so if you need to ask a question, that's fine.
Hello, Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners, thank you for meeting with us tonight. I wanted just to go over some things that Sean alluded to, and Mr. Jeffers. We've been working with your staff. We meet every quarter, review all the claims, and work to implement cost containment initiatives that will save the plan money and save your employees money. This past year, we saw a spike in the claims, and there were really 3 reasons that was brought on. And that was shock claims, and that's claims that happen that they won't reoccur. Okay, like if, for instance, if you had a bypass surgery, well, you're not gonna need a bypass surgery probably for another 10 years, okay? If someone passed away and they had a lot of claims, I mean, obviously, those are the type of claims that aren't gonna reoccur. Drug costs, I can't tell you what drug costs are, just what they're doing to this country, and hopefully Congress and the President will act upon that. And we've got some initiatives that we're looking at that will address some of the drug costs. I had a claim the other day that they asked me to look up this drug, and this drug did not prevent dialysis. It just prolonged before you had to take dialysis. The drug was $2.9 million a year. $2.9 million a year. And then you have drugs that they're $5,000 a month that we're seeing that are just common. So people can't afford this. So as a country, we need to fix the problem. And then, as Sean alluded to, our aging population, we have a lot of retirees on our plan. And so what we're trying to do is trying to help them proactively manage their conditions. And so basically what we have is we have about 46% of the group is over age 50.
Can I add something here?
Yes, sir, please.
The retirees are still on our plan, but if the retiree is Medicare eligible, then the primary insurance is Medicare and we are the secondary.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Now, a large part of them are on our prescription as primary, right?
Yes, sir.
So, I just want to make that clarification.
So the other thing that we've been looking at, last year we increased the employee costs, and we hadn't had a rate increase in a number of years. And so we're currently at about 81% of Wayne County pays 81.4% of the employee costs and 85.96% of the dependent costs. And so the employees, what we're looking at is they're only paying, instead of 20%, they're only paying 13.26% of the costs. So we've been looking at that as well. So the areas that we looked at, and we're increasing our deductible, which our deductible is $150,000. If we increase that to $160,000, we could save about we'll say instead of being $57,000, it would be $18,000. Okay, and so when you think about that, increasing that by $10,000 on every person, we'd have to have almost 6 people for it not to justify moving to $160,000 specific.
Well, this is the stop gap.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then changing the co-insurance, we from 90-10 to 80-20. And so currently we have a deductible that's $1,000 for every employee, and their maximum out of pocket is $3,000. And so they're responsible after the deductible for the 10% up to $3,000. What we're suggesting is it still remain $1,000 deductible, but it be 20% up to $3,000. Okay? And so those are our two recommendations.
Based on those numbers, if you applied that to this year's cost, what kind of savings would it be?
That's a great question. We would have had, this year, we would have had two people that would have hit that deductible. So we would have saved, including the 18,000, we would have saved about $30,000.
What would it have cost the employee?
Sir?
What would it have cost the employee? Had we had the savings applied to us?
Well, it's
that
the out-of-pocket would still be the same for them. Yes, sir, but I can't tell you what the extra 10% would have meant. I mean, not everybody's hitting their out-of-pocket. You know, we're having some large claims that are accounting for these excess claims. Yes, sir.
So
You
also,
and Ed discussed this?
Yes, sir.
also, we talked about increasing the premiums.
Yes, sir. And that's what I was saying. If we did for your premiums, that,
Going up 5%.
yes, sir, that would be 5%.
So 5% of their, on section D, if you look down there, 5% would have been, for a employee only would be a bi-weekly increase of $3.57.
How comparable that is to other municipalities and
That's a great question. But what we're seeing, most employers and municipalities, that 20% of the cost is bared by the employee. And I'll just be honest with you, I mean, we don't see deductibles this low. I mean, this is a rich plan.
So they got a stop loss now at $3,000, it goes to 100%.
Yes, sir, for the employee. Yes, sir.
So their out-of-pocket is $3,000. Regardless, it's $3,000.
And we're recommending to keep that the same, but they just pay instead of 10%, 20%.
Sean, could you give an example of that? I mean,
Yes, so let's say that, as it stands right now, if you've got somebody that has a $100,000 claim, okay? They go in the hospital, they're billed $100,000. They pay their $1,000, they pay another $3,000, they're done. It's paying 100% after that, okay? If we go to the 80/20, like what
I'm sorry,
Mike,
Sean, you said 1,000 and then 3 or?
No,
just
no, no,
1,000 is in the
Yeah.
deductible, so
So it's
1,000
3
plus
total.
another 2,000, I
It's
misspoke.
3 total,
You're
okay.
exactly right. So it'd be 3,000 total is what it would be. And then they're done. If the health plan pays the rest of it 100%. Now, like Mike's saying, if we change it to an 80/20 plan and they have that $100,000 bill, no change. It's still $1,000, $2,000 out of pocket, total of 3. That's it. Where the employee will see the difference is if they have a smaller claim. So if you have a smaller claim, let's say $5,000, okay? As it stands right now, you're due $1,000, and then that takes it to 4, 10% of that's another $400, all right? If it goes to an 80/20, then it's gonna be the $1,000, then it's gonna be 20% of the 4,000, which is $800. So if it's a smaller claim, they will pay a little bit more, but all it's doing is getting them to that, that out-of-pocket faster, is really all it's doing. And yeah, there's some folks that it will affect, but we think that to the bottom line for the plan is probably the best thing for you guys to do.
Is that deductible per claim, or is it?
No, sir.
Is that through the year?
That's
Yes, that's
not
right.
calendar year.
Calendar year?
Yes, sir.
How does that affect like colonoscopies and regular checkups and things like that?
So all that stuff is still mandated through the health insurance,
And that's paid at 100% under the Affordable Care
yeah,
Act.
Affordable Care Act.
Wellness, yes, sir.
So that doesn't change. If you have to have a mammogram, if you're of age, and you have to have a mammogram, colonoscopy, PSA, it's all still is under the ACH.
but if you go in and have some surgery done, you know, that could be elective or whatever, then your cost would go up a little bit.
It could, if it's a small
But
bill.
the maximum amount of pocket ain't gonna change.
No.
That's right.
Maximum out of pocket's
$3,000.
gonna still stay at $3,000. That's not gonna change. It doesn't matter if it's an 80-20 or a 90-10, it's still
So
$3,000.
you're saying preventive maintenance stuff, like we were talking earlier, that wouldn't apply to this?
No, sir.
That won't stop somebody from, this change won't stop somebody from going to get a,
No, sir.
okay.
It won't stop somebody from going and seeing their doctor because you have a co-pay, not co-insurance for that, $35, I believe is what we have here. So that doesn't change. That's still gonna be the same. So if I'm an employee of the county and I get sick and I go see one of my doctors, it's still $35 for them to give me a shot or whatever. If I have to have surgery, that's where it comes in. If I have a, like what Mike was said, a bypass surgery or something, it's gonna be $3,000.
Most 10 surgeries can go to 3,000, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gonna be $3,000 is what the employee's gonna pay, regardless of the co-insurance. It's still gonna be $3,000. The only time that it's gonna affect anybody really is if they have a small bill. And I don't know, maybe, they go to a foot doctor and have something done and the doctor sends them a bill $1,500.
How about the medicine side of it? Is the medicine
It
applied to
doesn't
this?
affect the medicine either. That's a separate copay and
Okay.
everything also. It's just for deductibles, co-insurance claims.
How does it affect the family coverage of the 5% increase in premium?
It goes up by $6.68 bi-weekly.
And then they're able to pre-tax that, so you can knock off about 20-25% off of that.
Yeah, this is pre-tax.
That's right.
Yeah, I know when I had a heart attack, the bill was $480,000. I almost fainted when I got it.
And see,
But after $1,000, I was 100%.
Yeah.
And that's what Farm Bureau could.
in that case, if you were an employee, you'd pay $3,000.
Right.
Whether you were on a 90-10 or an 80-20, you still would pay $3,000. Because it was $400,000.
This basically, kind of helps offset the premium cost that we pay. And so the employees are paying that part of it. Now, the claims still, the 80-20 will help the claims, but not a lot.
That's right.
It's just putting some, focus on, hey, guys, this is the cost for us, so that they're trying to absorb it, not trying to, we're not trying to balance our budget off the backs of the employees. That's pretty clear, and from my standpoint, from beginning, but it is a very generous plan, and healthcare claims or healthcare costs are pretty significant. And so we're trying to protect the employee, trying to make sure that they're still involved in the wellness program, the preventative programs, but covering its cost over there. So the penalties are still in effect if you're, a smoker or a tobacco user and you have not made some steps to correct that. It's still in, as we approved last year. But this small increase is I think it's going to be largely offset by the merit cost of living increase.
So the net was $30,000 if it was under this.
Yes, sir.
That's still $18,000 less than we ever spent on that building the rec department.
Ralph, you had mentioned about, shoot, I just lost my train of thought when you said that. Golly, I forgot what I was going to say. I'm sorry.
So when y'all need y'all's answer?
Tonight,
Yeah, we need it tonight. And basically here in a nutshell, this is what it is. We want to raise your deductible from 150 to 160 is what we want to do. We want to go up on the increase for the employee, family, and single coverage by 5%, which you've got in your packet, I believe. $3 for an employee, $6 and change for the family. And
Then from 90-10 to 80-20.
Yeah, from a 90-10 to an 80-20. I remember what it was. You'd asked a question about other municipalities, what do, all right, so you guys are at a little over 13%. The average is 20. So that's where you guys are. So when we all say it's a rich plan, it's a rich plan, so just.
How close will this put us between the 13 to being in?
I think that puts you at
13.26,
13.26.
yes, sir.
13.26. So now, again, we're very conscious, and Ed has really worked with us on this. We're very conscious that we don't want to go up on the employees too much, because not all your employees make your employees don't make a whole lot of money, you know? I mean, it's just one of those facts, you know, so, especially when they're starting out. And we don't wanna go up too much, because we don't want people not to have health insurance, you know? We don't wanna incentivize them not to have it.
That's
not
on
our
the
job.
stopgap at 160 to 150, 160. How does that change our premium to y'all?
That was the
Yeah,
30,000.
that's about the 30,000, yes, sir,
That's what
the overall net.
Now, the
Yeah,
flex-
that was gonna go up, and it did go up from last year.
Are we changing that? Did it go up or just to make it level?
We're changing it because
It's
it
still
did
went up a
go
little
up, but it's going up instead of that much, it goes up that much. So it's a big difference.
So it is more money, from that stopgap, because we had some heavy hitters. We hit it a couple times, and we had no lasers,
No.
right?
No, that's correct. Yes, sir.
And, you know, it is. Again, I think this kind of gets us in line somewhat, except for the deductibles, and I think we'll keep that where it's at. And the out-of-pocket is the same.
Yes, sir.
It's a small increase, and I think that, you know, for an employee up there, it just puts more emphasis on there, gets us kind of back into competitive, programs.
And I know that you guys are hearing this for the first time tonight, but me and Mike and Ed have been talking about this, and Amanda, we have been talking about this for months. It takes a lot of time to decide what we're gonna do, to get it all to the insurance company, get back the rates and everything. We've done some things that are in the background that really save a lot of money, because we could have really had a bad thing happen, but we got everything under the wire, which was good, because it saved a ton of money to the county. But
The stopgap insurance or the deductible, we stayed with the same. They gave us a very competitive rate with that last month.
But we wouldn't be here making these recommendations to y'all if the 3 or 4 of us have not been talking about this for a while.
This recommendation you give us, is there another option, or is this the only option?
Well, your option is you can stay where you're at. You know, you cannot make any changes and just say, no, we want to stay where we're at. Don't go to the 160, don't do the 80.
I think the 160 we approved last month.
Okay.
Yes.
So, you know, that's where we're at with it.
We stayed with the same carrier. Yeah, and we did that. That's all we did.
So really the 5% increase on the rate and going to an 80 would be what your decision is tonight.
Didn't we approve that
All right,
last month?
that's something we'll cover further down the agenda. You gentlemen got any more questions for Mike or Sean?
Thank you for working with it.
Well, we're working hard to manage it, gentlemen, I'm sure. And every quarter we're meeting, and we're looking at this hard and looking at ways, initiatives we can implement to save money.
And we appreciate your business, we
Good job.
really do. We want to keep it, that's why we're trying our best to try to get it under control,
One
basically.
thing I'm certainly glad to see is that the hospital and y'all and us are able to work together on the same thing.
Well, we have, and I'll tell you, Joe has been great. When I first contacted Joe last year about this, what do you need? Well, this is what I need, this is what I need, this is what I need, no problem. And I call him back, hey, I need one more thing, no problem. Then I call him back, I need one more thing, and no problem. He never once told me no, never once.
Sean, this clinic we got coming in University, is it possible to pair it with them somewhere?
Yes, yes, and that is one of the things that we're going to be talking about this year, trying to work with them about doing some things to help us with some of our claim costs.
Good.
So there is something that we possibly can do for that. So we're working on that also. That's coming.
That's supposed to be open pretty soon.
Yes, and Mike and I have already got on our agenda that whenever they get open, to go and talk to whoever the director will
I
be.
think they're targeting Lieutenant Commissioner.
January?
I don't think they're gonna quite make that. They redoing the building, it looks pretty nice up there, so I'm sure they really gonna be next week.
Seems like some of this maintenance stuff y'all talking about, especially that y'all might be utilizing, they're in a building that's ours, and as the hospital's working with them, it might be a good opportunity.
You're spot on.
We're definitely looking forward to it.
Good. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. All right.
Appreciate it. Thank you for.
Thank you, guys.
your time and your diligence.
Thank you.
item on the agenda, under citizens' concerns, Pastor Justin Mitchell is going to talk to us about a minister center.
Hey, thank y'all so much for letting me come hang out with you tonight for a few minutes. I think I've gotten the opportunity to meet pretty much all of them. They've already got some. I think I've had the opportunity to meet most of y'all. Just for those that haven't, I've been born and raised here in Wayne County. 33 years old. I've got a 5-year-old daughter, which is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. 1-year-old son named Jensen. And 10 years ago, we planted a church here in Jessup called Turning Point. Started with a handful of people. And today, by the grace of God, we have between 400 and 500 people who are part of our church family for our, our in-house worship experience. And we're seeing more people drive from Hinesville and Brunswick. And we're actually in the beginning stages of planning a satellite campus in Brunswick this year, hopefully in the fall. So be praying for us for that. But I wanted to just take just a few minutes at a time. One of our core values as our church is outreach, loving people. I think the church ought to be not something that's just held within the four walls of a building, but going out to our neighbors. I think that's what Jesus would ultimately want us as believers to do. And my eyes have really been opened the past few years and past few months as we've been focusing on outreach at our church. Last year we hosted with the Tim Tebow Foundation Night to Shine, which is special needs prom. We had folks with special needs that drove from Wayne and surrounding counties. I think it was around 160 special needs guests who came, and we had hundreds more volunteers. We did it at the Coastal Pines College, and we spent $20,000 on that one night. And between our church and, honestly, folks from our community, folks who don't even attend my church, they just gave to help make this happen and see this outreach event happen. And it's just one of our cores as a church is just reaching people, where they are, loving on them. My eyes were open last Christmas Eve in 2018. We had a Christmas Eve service. And I had a man who walked to our church, and I met him, and after the Christmas Eve service was over, I began to talk to him, and you could tell he was shook up, he was upset. And I said, hey man, what's going on? And he said, I walked here. He said, I'm homeless. He said, somebody stole my tent. And all I want for Christmas is my tent back. And it's Christmas Eve, I don't know him, I jump him in, I put him in my vehicle, probably the smartest thing to do, but I did it. And I take him to Walmart, and I didn't get him a one-person tent, I got him the biggest thing they had at Walmart. I think it was like 8 or 10 person, just trying my best. That's all I wanted. I tried to put him in a hotel room, I want a tent, that's all I wanted. And that's what we did. My eyes began to be open, because that's something you think is in LA, Atlanta, Jacksonville, this is right here in our backyard, guys. And I see it as a pastor, I see people I see them at their highs when they're successful, but I'm seeing more and more people who, for whatever reason, through their poor choices or whatever, or just sometimes life doesn't go the way they expect, they're living in their cars. There was just a guy last week, I met him, was living in his car. It was one of those freezing nights. We did our best to get him one of our hotels here, just to get him somewhere warm. And then, if you'll remember, a few years back, we had the hurricanes that came through. One of them I stayed through, and after that I said, I ain't doing that again, I'm gone. And so when they was predicting that maybe the eyewall might come over Wayne County, I went north to Tennessee and got a cabin, but my phone began to be blown up because there's people that don't have the luxury I did to leave. I remember a single mom calling me and saying, Pastor, I live in a 1970 single. I don't think my trailer's going to make it. And I see that over and over again where, a person's home gets burned down or they just lose their house or whatever it is. And in our community, there is no community shelter. There is no place to put a family up for temporary shelter to get them off the streets for just a set period of time. We don't have that here. And so I feel like the Lord spoke to my heart and we began to pray. And this is what I just wanted to share with you. I'm not here asking for tax money. I just came to just share with you a vision. And ultimately, just ask for you to pray for us, because we're doing this not for Turning Point, but for our community, for the betterment of Wayne County. And so you'll see there's some plans before you. We have a wonderful, just an incredible architect from Florida. I think the only thing I have against him is a Florida Gators fan. But he has donated his services for these plans. He is working with us, I think, free of charge. We are working hand in hand. We have a committee we're putting together. I want to give a big thank you to some of them who are here tonight for support. We have a local attorney that's coming on board with us, donating their time to help see this happen, because our vision is this ministry center will be a 20,000 square foot facility that will provide temporary shelter. We're putting counseling rooms in it that will be made available free to licensed counselors to help people. There'll be recreation space. Our hope is that you'll see a basketball gym on the plans there. Our hope and our desire, this isn't for Turning Point, this is for the community, this is for Wayne County. Our desire is to come to you as the county and say, if you need to use that gym for basketball games, here it is. If you need it for a community event, here it is. This isn't about Turning Point, this is about us working together. And so, number one, I know it's not the best prints. We're still working on, you'll see some critiquing, but to the left side you will see some temporary shelter. Those are not, we don't want them to stay forever because we're believing they're going to, get back on their feet and get again. So it's not super comfortable to make them want to stay. But it is some temporary housing for families that they'll have a nice place they can sleep. There's a place they can cook some food, some showers, just to get them off. Help them get the resumes going on. There was a young man we met the other day at our church. I think he just graduated high school. And I was trying to help him get a job. I said, man, where's your resume? He said, I don't know how to make one of those things. I'm like, my goodness gracious. And so in there is not only shelter, but it'll be a place where counselors are going to be able to use the offices for free to counsel people, help people work through their issues and their struggles and their habits and their hang-ups. But also help them, get that resume, get a job, be productive, help them contribute to our society together. And so, and then last but not least, we're hoping that it'll be a community shelter. I'm really hoping, we're working with this architect, and we're going to put in some backup generators, that sort of thing, that if God forbid, if a hurricane did come through here, and folks could not evacuate, there's a shelter they can go to. There's a place they can go to, hopefully be safe in the storm. And so, ultimately, like I said, I didn't come asking for taxpayer money. I'm believing that God's going to provide it. It's been incredible. We just released this to our church a few weeks ago, and I've been amazed at the amount of people who have come to me that don't attend my church. There's a particular guy, I'm not going to say his name because I don't have his permission to, but he came to me the other day. He said, I'm closing up a real estate deal. He said, if it goes through, he says, I want to donate $40,000 towards the ministry center. He said, I was that person living in the car. I was that person who had nothing. And I fought my way to get out of it. He said, our community needs this. And so I just came tonight, number one, just to share with you this vision. You as leaders of our community, I'm asking you to spread the word. And secondly, if you're a believer, I'm asking you to pray. Just pray with us that God will provide what we need to see this happen. It's going to be right there on South Palm Street. We've already purchased the 5 acres beside our property to place it on. You can see a little overshot view, but I believe it's something our community needs. I believe it can help change some lives and people who would have went down a bad path. I think this may be the thing that helps them make the turning point, if you will, to a better path. So I just thank you for your time. If you got any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. But I just appreciate each of you, and just hope you'll pray with us and help support it.
What's your capacity, Pastor?
Our sanctuary?
No, of this facility. I think you said it's going to be able to house people.
It's around. I think it's right around. It depends on how many children they have. We can hold probably 7, 8 families at a time. Is the projected housing we could hold in the temporary housing. Now, if a storm came through that recreation space, there'd be a gym. Obviously, we could use that to probably hold a couple hundred people in the midst of a storm. But again, we're not going to be able to take in the whole world, because I'm sure all of you know, I've seen that it's a growing problem here of homelessness and folks hurting. So
those 2 rooms said MED on. Is that medical rooms?
yeah, there is some for handicap purposes and things that try to be ADA compliant, that sort of thing.
Okay, so that's not a offer medical.
Yes, sir.
That's a handicap.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Yes, sir.
That's good.
Awesome. Thank y'all so very much.
Pastor, thank you.
Thank you all.
And thank you from the bottom of my heart for what I've seen y'all do in this community. It's touching.
Thank you so much.
Before you go, would you share the website for folks that would like to volunteer for the night show?
Yeah, so our next one's coming up the first Friday of February again. That website is turningpoint.nighttoshine.com. If you'd like to volunteer, we need you to sign up this week. We've got a training that's going to be tomorrow night and Saturday. And I'm telling you, it will, if you leave that place with a dry eye, something wrong, something wrong with you. I had a guy last year, I boo-hooed. He came to me, he brought his daughter, well, I'm about to choke up now. He brought his daughter in a wheelchair, and he said, "Thank you, Pastor. I got to dance with my daughter for the first time." It's incredible. So, let me have a good word.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do. You do a lot.
Jordan?
You put on the largest Easter egg hunt. My granddaughter come all the way from Warner Robins every year to see it. She's 6 going on 17.
Thank you again for what you do, your time and coming and sharing this with us. And we'll certainly do what we can to help. Next item on the agenda is a modification that we made, beginning, which is Mr. Donald Griffiths wants to speak to us about a little situation out in the county where folks are shooting off some tannerite.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Thomas.
Yes, sir.
Tannerite.
Gotcha.
There's 2 chemicals. It's legal. You can buy it in just about any store anymore. You mix the 2 chemicals up when you get home. You set it out 100 yards and you shoot it with a high-power rifle to make a big boom.
Okay.
Most people is using too much of it. You can buy a 1/4 pound, 1/2 pound, 1 pound, up to 2 pounds. We had a feller that he wanted to see how big a boom he could get. He's rattling the windows in my house. There's been somebody that's talked to him. He didn't realize that he was doing as bad as what he was doing. He has not did it since Thanksgiving. So I'm glad that somebody spoke to him about it. But the reason I'm here is I think you need to look at it, because if people get to adding too much of it together, you're going to have more complaints. And he's done got with the sheriff, and the sheriff had many complaints out there in the county about it. So I would just like for some kind of agenda or vote or something to say, if you have so many complaints in a certain area, they go out and find out who's doing it, tell them they can't do it no more, if they're using too much of it. I'm telling you, when you just, I got a guy that lives on one side of me, he uses it, a little boom. He told me when that guy did it, he said he must have had 5 pounds, because he heard it, and it shook his house over there. And he knows what it is. I mean, but when we call down there, they say tannerite's legal. And it is legal, but you need to go out there to see, send an officer out there to see, did a house blow up? Did somebody mix tannerite up? Or was it a car? Or what? I know of some people that called and they says, "Well, sir, we done got calls on it. Tannerite's legal. You want to talk to an officer?" The only thing I'm saying is look at the amount. Come up with some kind of amount that they can use. Because I'm not saying make it illegal. I'm saying if you're going to use it, but only use up to a certain amount. It recommends on the internet not to use more than 2 pounds at one time.
What's the purpose of it? Just recreation?
People just wants to see stuff blowed up. And this cat wanted to see it blowed up that night, because I'm talking about it, I'm a mile from him. It rattled my windows, scared the daylights out of my grandchild.
Will that work on a beaver dams?
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's, people wants it. But it takes a high-power rifle to activate it. It's not illegal because the 2 chemicals are not mixed together until you buy it. And then it tells you to shoot it, stand back at least 100 yards to shoot a 1/4 pound of it. So if you shoot more than 1 pound, it tells you to stand back 200 yards. How many people in this room has got 200 yards they can shoot a high-power rifle at? I mean, you know.
How many people is that
How many
crazy?
people can hit it?
And you know, and hit it. But you know, I'm just saying, it's going to be a problem, just look into it. I'm not saying you know, not have it. You know, they tell you fireworks, Class C. This ain't Class C. Tannerite's more than Class C. You know, think about it. But when somebody starts shooting in y'all's backyard, I mean, you know, it's right in my windows now. And I just thank y'all for letting me talk to you. Think about it. Y'all look at it. Look at it on the internet. You can buy it at Academy. You can buy it at Bass Pro. You can buy it anywhere. It's legal. And the reason it's legal is because the two components are separated.
That's
And, you know,
that's interesting because
And like I say,
I haven't heard about that, but there's no state or federal regulations on mixing it together, makes it illegal?
Not that I'm aware of. I think ATF even kind of has a hands-off. It's legal the way it's sold, those two components. What I'd like to do, Donald, is, you know, since you brought it to our attention, is let's get with the sheriff and chief deputy and see how many instances we've had and kind of start
I mean, just look into it. Hey, I know everybody likes to have fun. I mean, you know, I'm not saying make it illegal. I'm just saying keep it down to a certain amount. If you have too many problems in that area, then they need to talk to him and tell him he needs to lower the amount that he's activating at one time.
I'm just gonna ask a question. Are you aware of it going on in other counties? I mean, the state level? I mean, even if the law enforcement said this is, I mean, if there are issues in other places, it certainly, hopefully, it's not just Wayne
It's
County.
not.
Just certain counties is making a regulation, you know, where you can use a certain amount.
And that's what I'm getting to. What are they doing about it? So we don't need to reinvent the wheel.
On the internet, they recommended that you don't shoot more than 2 pounds. You know, that's what they recommend.
Once they done shot it, how you know how many pounds
Yeah,
they
how you
shot?
gonna catch them?
But that's just it. You just keep adding them all up in a pile, setting them out there and shoot them, boom, get a bigger bomb. You know, so, I mean, but it's not illegal. I mean, they're selling it, I'm just saying. Because when they start knocking out the windows, what are we gonna do? We go to our insurance company? Replace our windows? I mean, yeah.
I'm sorry, having some flashbacks. Somebody ain't gonna be good.
I mean, yeah, this scares the daylights out of a bunch of people. I mean, I've got a bunch of people talking about it, you know?
I just have never heard of it. I'm not
Well, I mean,
saying.
yeah,
We need it.
but look at it when you get home tonight on the internet. Look at it, see what you see.
We'll check
And
it out.
like I say, this guy, it rattled the windows in my house and I'm a mile from him. But he has to do it, somebody talked to him and it scared somebody in his own house. And now he hasn't did it since Wednesday before Thanksgiving. But you need to look into it before it scares somebody else though. Cut the amount down. You know, 2 pounds is a plenty to fire off at one time.
Let's do some research on this.
Yeah, we'll do that.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for letting me come in and see you.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Next item on the agenda is public meetings, of which we have none. Consent agenda. Old business. Under new business, we need to consider and approve the purchasing policy we tabled from November 4th of 2019. Y'all have a chance to.
I think it's way off. I'd like to see us having a work session, if it's that serious, to try to discuss maybe something, somewhere in the middle on that. So I guess I'd make a motion to table it until we have a work session to discuss it in detail.
I second it because that's a lot. That's a big difference than what we have now, which we don't follow it anyway. But that's asking for a lot of change, and I know some of y'all have even commented that that's part of the reason that we were in the situation we're in, because we were unable to follow where the money was being spent. And I think if we allow something as much as $75,000 to be spent without us knowing about it, we're gonna get in the same situation we were in.
All right, would it be in, I feel sure probably most of us this way, would it be in the new year, we'll start now? It's kind of crazy in the next couple of weeks for me.
We just have it as a work session.
I'd recommend February, because you know this month we have. I
Yeah, we got a lot
recommend
going on.
February. Yeah, I mean, we're going to Okefenokee occasion, and all that. That's my recommendation, wait till
How-
February.
How about if, instead of trying to set a date for the work session, how about if we have the clerk get a hold of us
That's fine.
individually and try to set a
See
work
what-
session date?
When all of us get together?
We'll do it prior to the February meeting.
I'd like to see some comparisons of other counties and what they got.
All right, we'll table that based on your motion, your second to the work session. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll on that?
We don't need too partial because it was already tabled,
Tabled.
so we don't
Ms.
need to.
Jefferson,
So
you
we
get some
just-
comparisons, please?
We'll try, yes, sir.
All right, next item is to consider or approve the resolution for the issuance of the TAN tax anticipation. And that is under item B, I
Yes.
believe.
So let me just begin. So we all know that we approved the TAN note. The vendor, the successful bidder was BB&T. And this is the resolution to follow up on that. Yeah, please.
So y'all basically, last time, Mr. Jeffers just said it, last time y'all voted to have start new TANs this year. The last one was paid off last week of December. I think we discussed that in the work session today, the $3.5 million is what you borrowed last year. This resolution will authorize the county to do the closing for the new TANs. We've set the closing date for January the 15th, which is next Wednesday. We've had a couple issues with getting this resolution on par. As y'all know, we contract with John Bennell to do all the bonds and TANs issue and whatnot. That's kind of all their law firm does over in Savannah. We've been doing that for a number of years. Mr. Bennell received the resolution, the proposed resolution back from BB&T. There was some modifications that they had put on there that wasn't necessarily in their bid sheet. We've had some back and forth with myself, representatives from BB&T, Mr. Jeffers, and Mr. Bennell. What we have before y'all tonight's kind of the finished product there for the resolution. I think Mr. Jeffers may be able to add on more to this, but essentially it's going to be a variable rate. That's what was in their bid sheet. The maxed out rate of that rate will be 3.1%. We had to work on, they wanted to change the withdrawal process. We've kind of narrowed that down to make it a little bit simpler, but all in all, it's essentially what y'all have asked for, what we've done in years past with the TAN. So this will just give us the authority to carry forward to close it on the 15th and have those funds available if the county needs them starting on the 15th.
What I would add to that, Counselor, is if I may, is just the same as last year. When the lawyers started getting in, I was reviewing this over there, they again made a point which was really, I think, unknown by some principals in the bidding process over there, that we have to withdraw the same amount we did last year from the other bank, and it's $50,000. That's IRS rule. So, I made that clarification. They told me they didn't have to do that previously. I just want to make that point that we will have to immediately, draw out $50,000 just for IRS rules for their point of operation for tax benefits. So, the same thing as we did last year. We just got a better rate. It's on LIBOR rate versus the prime rate, which is over here, which is, as you know, European models are good. But other than that, we worked through some details last minute, thanks to Mr. John and Andy and Raymond Brown and Lance.
Andy, was it variable last year?
Yes.
No,
it was a fixed rate last year.
3.1's higher than it was last year, isn't it?
It was a little more than that, but this is a variable rate, and it's average at 2.8 right now, but it's capped at 3.1, which was still lower than the other vendor.
The fix last year was what? I thought it was 2 something last year.
No, I think it was 3.2, 3.1.
It's right there close to it. I can't remember the exact one.
Nah, it was in the threes.
I will say that we've done better managing the cash flow there because in years past, we used initial withdrawal until probably
July.
June,
Yeah,
July
it was
this year,
June.
so we have a little bit of flexibility when we do the closing work the next day, so.
Yeah, in previous years over there, it was more, pretty much, put it paid off, and, you know, it was, you know, so it was better this year, but the rates last year, I mean, they're different, and they're very competitive rates, because they went through the LIBOR, which is European. And if you pay attention to the Business News channel over there, you know that the European rates are way down there. And the prime rate, which is over here, is a little bit higher. And I'm kind of speaking very novicely about that subject matter, but it's essentially, you know, why they could offer. They went to the LIBOR, this London exchange rate. And so their interest rates are much lower than America's, the United States over there. So, you know, and so last year, I believe it was in the 3.1, 3.2 rate over there, and it wasn't variable. This was capped at 3.1, and right now, rates are there, you know, it's at 2.8 right now, so it could be less, or it could be no more than 3.1.
Are there any changes other than draw out?
There's some other little language in there, but they're saying the law and the rules are gonna be changing at 21. So that they just their standard practice over there. It just raised a lot of flags, and we got this corrected with John's help and Andy's help. And, you know, we've had a lot of conversation with it the last few days, but all's good. And this is just the closing, 2015.
It's for 6 months.
6.
Yeah, and
Motion on that, or?
Mr. Chairman, your motion?
just for the
Yes,
record,
so moved.
and I don't think it was said earlier, but just for the record, the max limit on this one's $6 million.
Right. That's what we bid for.
And it matures at the end of 2020.
And one last question, is it the same interest rate for the whole term of loan, or does the length we have the money in our possession change as to how much we owe?
Well, yeah, I mean,
The rate
depending on how
change.
much, the rates change depending on how much you borrow. Like I said, initially, you have to take out
I mean, if we
$50,000.
don't borrow till August, and we have a shorter period of time, does
It's
that
gonna
mean?
be less interest.
Okay, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. I made a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I'll second the motion to adopt the resolution for the anticipation note. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Okay, the next item of the agenda is consider and approve Sunday sale of alcohol in the unincorporated areas of the county. I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna start this discussion out with the fact that I've been contacted by numerous owners of establishments that sell alcoholic beverages to ask us to put on the referendum the possibility of Sunday alcohol sales. And I'm not there yet. I'm simply not.
They just voted down, no?
That's right. Which is in my district.
What?
I said, they just voted down, no? Had the elections voted down.
Which is in my district, so.
So you're saying you don't want to give it an opportunity to referendum? You do.
Voted down.
Can I add something here, Mr. Chairman?
Referendum just gives people ability. to-
Yes, it does. It does, and I don't mind giving people a choice. But, you know, having only a handful of folks that own the establishments that stand to get profits from that, as opposed to, when no other folks have approached me and said, I'd like to see it happen, I'd like to see it on the ballot.
I mean, just put it on the agenda, because I mean, it takes, you were ahead, right?
One of the liquor store owners asked that it be placed on the agenda, and he's not here, so. That's just my opinion, just my 2 cents.
Well, in order for it to be put on the ballot too, it's got to be done by March. is what the probate judge said. If anything needed to be put on the ballot, we had to go ahead, we had to do it by March.
In order for it to be on the ballot, which the sheriff would be placed, the state constraints on time mean that we have to go ahead and get it approved and get it to the probate judge so she can have it on the ballot.
Our district's already had amendments, I mean, this really,
I
I don't care
suggest-
who y'all's court.
Well, my thing is, I'd like the opportunity to get with my constituents and see what the consensus are. This one is kind of busy. I'm planning on having a town hall meeting sometime next month. And in the meantime, though, I'll still be polling my constituents as I see them and see what their feelings are.
Well, the fifth and the fourth already have it, it really is, it's the other three that don't have it. That's y'all's constituents.
But you've either got to vote yea or nay to put it on the ballot.
That's true.
It's critical not to have it either, but
They just had the election in November for the mayor and all that, that was two of the questions. So the alcohol sales in Oakland, they voted down 80%, 20%.
I'm not sure about screwing. I think screwing may
That's
already.
not a corporate area. They don't want it.
I didn't know about screening.
What do you wanna do?
I'd like to give them my constituents as well. Either I'd like to table this until I have a chance to talk to them.
Make a motion to table it.
Folks.
I pretty much know what my constituents want.
Yeah.
They've already told me. And I ain't got many stores that sell beer, alcohol in my district, about 2
Right.
in the whole district. And they've already told me, no, we don't want it.
Ralph, I think we're good, you and I, but I think they're the ones who have to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I don't have a bit of problem in making a motion to table the issue. I simply wanted to give you my opinion on it from the get-go, and let you know where I stand and why I feel like we ought to table it, because I want to talk to my folks and see what their thoughts are.
Well, it sounds like 2 already are saying no, so I mean, you're already almost there. That's 3.
Will my motion die for lack of a second?
What is you want to table it? Or what you
I
want?
want to table.
Okay, I'll second that.
Any more discussion? Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll as far as the discussion on Sunday alcohol sales in the unincorporated areas?
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Hires.
Yes.
We ain't gonna table this for 2 or 3 years, all.
No. Good.
All right.
We have to table something.
We're gonna table, we're gonna put it in the land.
Good.
The next item on the agenda is to consider and approve the healthcare renewal that we were presented with from Mr. Malloy and Mr. O'Quinn.
I'll make a motion to accept their recommendation.
I second.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second, any discussion? First, I'm sorry. Would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Commissioner Hires.
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary.
Yes.
All right. Next item is to consider and approve the resolution to transfer property to the IDA, which is the old piece of property that the current Forestry Commission is occupied until they move out on South Main.
I've asked Mr. Keith to come.
Okay. We have the Executive Director of the Industrial Development Authority with us. And, like, do you have anything to say, Mr. Keith, or are you just ready for us to hand some property over to you?
Well, I certainly appreciate the opportunity, that's for sure. I just want to tell you guys that this is really a big step towards us increasing the economic growth within our community. We are committed to a new industrial park, and this piece of property, we're able to help another company expand. And once they do that, there'll be funds involved with that. We're not having to give any incentives or anything like that, but that money's earmarked to go toward the purchase of our new property. So we're moving forward with that. We're excited about that, there's opportunity there, and, that's basically what I'm gonna share with you.
I make a motion we transfer the property.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to transfer property to the Industrial Development Authority. Discussion?
Do you tell me where the tower used to be?
Yeah, yeah. And where their office. See it, so they're showing. Yeah.
I wanna thank you, cause y'all, it looks like to me that we're progressing to get the industry away from the established homes and things like that. A lot of people, I get complaints from places around in my area, and, you're stepping up, trying to get it away from where we're at, and all the voters and everybody that lives here and enjoys living here. And we all reap the benefits from the taxes from the bigger industries that come, because the service we provide them is minimal compared to what we do to the public. So I appreciate you trying to work diligently to get that out there.
I appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox?
Yes.
Commissioner Hires?
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Keith. Thanks for working with Mr. Jefferson on getting this taken care of. Next item on the agenda is consider approved bid for the 381 North Whaley Street properties that we have put on the agenda. So,
Mr. Chairman, we didn't have any bids on this property, and so what I think that we'd like to do here,
Give it to the IDA?
right, what I'd like to do here is there's no bids on this thing. It was advertised, I think. I don't know if the interest, but I would say right now that we, just take this off the list and come back, we address it at another date.
How much it was on minimum?
Minimum bid is $2,600.
What's the taxes they on?
I think at $2,600 on this thing. It's a small little park on North Whaley Street. But nobody was any interest. I mean, we can extend it for another month if y'all would like.
We ran the ad because we kinda got cut short. Y'all had voted to sell this
November.
first in the November meeting. We got cut short with Thanksgiving and all that, so we actually been advertising this since I believe the latter part of November through December, still haven't got any bids.
Is it just properties that have structure on it?
It has structure on it.
Yeah, I believe this is in my district.
It is in your district, so.
I would like to see us get rid of it, but whatever.
well, what's the cost on us running that ad one more time?
I think each run, check with Mr. Davis down there, but I think it's like $40 a run to the county.
Why don't we consider just leaving it no minimum on it and see what happens?
What, I believe.
Better to get back on tax rolls, even if we have to eat that.
Commissioner Hickox, I believe you asked the question, what the county have in, I think the last time we said the county had right at a little over 2,500, about 2,550 in the cost of getting it up to this point and the back tax.
But that's not gonna go down.
No, but I think you just asked what it was. I think the
So that's
taxes,
not gonna go down. Why not we just give it a shot, see if somebody offers anything?
taxes look like it's about $130, $140 a year.
I wouldn't.
I'm not so sure I wanna set that precedence, because if we do that, then I think we're gonna have people start coming to us and saying, well, we're not gonna bid on it until you put it back out with the reserve. I'd rather not, just as a point of discussion, I'd rather not set that precedence.
We can run it again.
I'll make a motion, we run it again one more
Like it
time,
was?
like it is.
Okay.
And then, in the
No,
meantime,
that's it.
determine what we can do.
I support it.
Okay.
All right, motion
I still
second,
want to see
more
it,
discussion.
I don't see it occupied, not occupied.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Hickox?
Yes.
Commissioner Hires?
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
The next item on the agenda is appointments. Our first appointment was tabled from the December 2nd meeting, which is the appointment to the Heart of Georgia Regional Commission. Commissioner Roberts has served for some terms on that and has agreed to continue to serve on the commission. And just for knowledge, there are certain criteria that have to be met by the state that designates who can and can't serve on that authority, and an elected official happens to be one of them, member of the community. So I'm gonna make a motion that we continue to ask.
I second, Mr. Chairman.
have a motion, second, any discussion?
Partial, who's gonna continue to serve?
Mike Roberts.
Okay.
Who's gonna drive me over there?
Okay. Having no discussion, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Next
I'm glad they have some company because going all the way to Mount Vernon, it's okay going there, but once you eat that meal on the way back, I need somebody to keep me awake.
Next item is appointment of the Solid Waste Authority. Commissioner Roberts' appointment of Darrell Beasley's term expired 1/1/20. Commissioner Roberts, what's your?
Have I got to have 3 people for them to choose?
No, sir.
Not for solid
No, sir.
waste.
Okay, well, Darryl offered to continue to serve again, you know, he came in on a part,
Yeah.
Part term.
Part
under his
term. so he offered to serve again.
Do you want to provide that as a motion to?
Yeah, I'd like to
continue
make a
serving?
motion to reappoint Darrell Beasley.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion, second, discussion. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Hires.
Yes. And under modification of the agenda, under appointments, Commissioner McCreary has learned that one of the appointments from his district on the Solid Waste Authority has relocated to another state and is gonna offer his letter of resignation from the Solid Waste Authority, and we'll be providing that. At that point, we'll ask Commissioner McCreary to look into a replacement appointment. No, that's just mostly a note for us to realize we'll have a resignation coming, and there'll be an appointment. Item 15, Mr. Administrator.
Okay, so if you pass these out, y'all asked me on item A, is to look at animal control. And so I gave you something here. We budgeted, you know, and I budgeted, I think gracious much of there. I budgeted enough to cover what I think we need to do here. But I just would start off here with a couple of paragraphs and let y'all, I mean, I can read the whole thing, but I think that you know, I can get the gist of us here. So we're going to establish an animal control officer for the unincorporated areas of the county. This will include operating procedure for handling citizens' complaints related to animals, both wild and domestic, and enforcement of local laws of the county governing domestic and some wild animals. The county will hire this is my recommendation, an animal control officer that would be governed by the guidelines and procedures outlined below, which is 2 pages. And I will give some to the press, you know, as well. But the county will utilize the city of Jessup's animal control shelter / pound in lieu of the county's continuing. This is per conversations in this meeting with the mayor and the city manager, and other conversations I've had with the 2 parties, and then last week with the mayor. We'll continue to use that pound, and with continuation of purchasing fuel for the city animal control vehicles for the sole purpose of carrying out duties of animal control within the city of Jessup. The county may also participate, and this is a point made by the city. You know, they haven't voted on it as large of their agreed to it, but in general over here is any major maintenance of the pound, such as if the pound, for example, needs a new roof. I think we, you know, would you know, what my recommendation is we will participate in the major maintenance of the shelter on a pre-approved planned basis. You know, it needs to be in the budget, need to be planned ahead. We need to agree over there that this will take, you know, if the pound has to be expanded at some point in time in the future over there, we just don't want to be, you know, all of a sudden you've got to come up with some cost over here. So I think that that's pretty much fair. Also in here, you know, it just talks about it's going to be a full-time employee. They will be reporting to me on the current status. I think Eventually, I would like to see some other department, we'll work through that, but this would not be a deputized officer.
Mr. Jefferson, if, he's got somebody he repeatedly goes to who's just not handling it, how does you go about?
I didn't understand, I didn't hear you.
If you've got someone who's continually just letting their dog run straight, and his costs go out over and over, is he gonna have a form of writing them up?
Yes, there will be a citation, and normally that's, you know, Andy and I have had a conversation. You know, the magistrate sometimes handles those, but I think that with the fine and all, that needs to be in state court. But they will have the ability to write a citation.
Even though they're not deputized?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but deputized meaning they're not gonna enforce the laws of, you know, they don't have law enforcement arrest right, you know, and carrying a gun and discharging that.
What do you say of, since there's a good bit of information in here, this is the plan that we asked the administrator to come up with forthwith. How about if we take this and go through it and possibly bring it up in that same work session we have for the one prior to the month of February, and that'll give you a chance to kind of go through and see what kind of questions you got, maybe get them answered, or at least get them noted.
Do you have a salary recommended on there?
Sir?
Is there a salary recommendation for that position?
I'm on, the salary of their, I mean, I really didn't want to get out in the open of there, but I'm gonna target about $30,000 salary for them. But the fringe benefits with there above that, gotta buy them a vehicle, gotta buy outfit vehicle with traps and.
Do we have prices on all that? Because I know I asked for it at the last meeting. That we
I have some budgetary stuff over there that I budgeted for over there, but
I'm talking about actual.
I have not gone out for bids on anything, no,
What does
sir.
the actual deputy start at with the sheriff?
Probably, about that.
So why would you pay the
This is
same
a-
thing
this-
you're not deputizing? If it's the same number.
Because it's, you know, this is, it may pay them less over there, but it's an entry level over there, just targeted $30,000. I think a deputy may make a little bit more than that. Yes. Now, let me give some highlights here, guys, over here. So, I mean, listen, you know, I think overall, it kind of depends on what is required over there, but I think total over here that, you know, I look at a vehicle for, you know, all outfitted with dog boxes, everything associated, radios and everything else in there, and all of it there, it's gonna be $40,000 range over there. Salary, or $35,000 range. Salary, you know, all fringe benefits, $40,000. So I'm $75,000, gotta do some training, you know, they need to be associated with that.
Do we have an existing vehicle we could use?
Sorry?
Is there not an existing vehicle we could use?
Probably is, but I gotta replace a vehicle, and they need to be outfitted over there, so that may make some opportunity right there.
Can we have those numbers?
I can put numbers out of this.
I mean, I know I've been asking, because this has been going on since September, I believe, we've known about it.
But the numbers, Commissioner, the numbers are contingent on a lot of factors over there that I don't really know yet. It depends on whether the city commits to this thing, or do we increase over here to Overland Scriven?
But at least if we got the numbers, we can pick and choose what we got to have after we find that out, correct?
Well, I'll give you the numbers over there, or, yeah,
I
I'll
mean,
give
because
you
we
numbers.
just, all we've been given is $170,000.
Right, and it's gonna be less than that, certainly, Commissioner, over there, but in that budget, what we did was, it was also fuel for the city, and other fuel for that, you gotta have training for this, and all of that's in there, so it's within there, it's gonna be significantly less, I hope.
Okay,
You know, but
these are
it
the things that, since you've got this paper, make your notes, email the administrator, whatever you wanna do, but get your concerns out. Let's get the answers on them.
Let me,
You have those answers provided at the work session.
I can.
Move on to another.
right, and let me make some highlights here. The animal control officer reporting this, non-deputized. If he needs assistance, he'll call the deputy. He'll call 911, the deputy will be dispatched. The sheriff is agreed with that. I don't think we need to keep him out of. Secondly, we got to share some duties at the paint. You know, clean up, we're gonna have to share some of those duties. And that was in lieu of all this, work. You know, otherwise, and also dispension of the medication. Dr. Hall, they work under his license. I'd keep that to a minimum, so I don't want this person to work and authorized to do those things. So it's all written in here.
My question is, if you said, $170,000 was that budgeted, and from original what I understood, the city only wanted us to provide an officer. If we provide an officer $30,000, big difference, like if we're gonna hire an officer, why not just pay for the officer the $30,000 and let him work with them, and then we're clear of the other money?
City wants their gas back too.
$7,000.
Their
So
gas
it-
back.
Well, I'll have that, I'll have more information of there. Here's the guidelines to what I had, and I'll have the rest
That's
of it
$37,000.
there.
So $170.
Okay, are we okay with bringing all the questions up to work session?
Yeah.
All right, next item of business, sale of property.
We're gonna
Table.
table motion.
Well, that was, it's not a line item on the agenda, so we don't need to table it.
That's right, that's the 381, I'm sorry. Okay.
So,
All right,
selling the property, I have 3 properties here. You know, we just decided to go on continuation over there, but I have one piece of property, I'll give it to you right now, and it's on Brunswick Street. What I'd like to do is I need a minimal bid. This is one of Denise's original list over here. If you look on the back over there, it's got a, if you look at the values, Commissioner, right now it's got a current value.
hang on, let's let them finish up. Y'all approve?
We're done.
All right, go ahead.
So this first piece of property is 455 South Brunswick Street. It's just down from Cracker Williams on Brunswick Street. It's been vacant, and it has a house on it. I don't know what the conditions of it are, but it's pretty run down. The fair market value on it, I think its current is $14,500. I'd like to sell this piece of property. The tax commissioner has said that there was one interested party that it contacted her about it. Beyond that, it's up to y'all. But this is parcel number J26-8.
How far past Crack Williams is it?
It's a block down. It's you know, not the corner of Magnolia and Brunswick, but it's the house right next to that corner of Magnolia.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's like a 1-2 blocks down.
What's owed on it?
Well, the minimum, there's nothing owed on it. I mean, it's been on the books for us since 16.
I mean, taxes, what all do we have to collect on that?
It's J626.
That one should sell. That'd be a good rental property.
I think it should sell, and the commissioner said that it really, it's pretty much what the fair market value, I think, is over there, so I don't have that.
14,000? You said 14?
It has a fair market 14 on it, but I don't know whether, I mean,
I can see that.
yeah, I mean, what was the last piece of property on Macon Street sold for
What'd that go for?
13.5, wasn't it?
How much?
Wasn't it 13.5?
And that was in really bad condition too.
She says right now that on that piece of property, it has got a minimum taxes owed of $9,127.14.
Is the recommendation $14,000?
I will go with,
Since that's the fair market value, and we've been bumping a little bit, let's set a reserve at 15,000.
I think that one sells somewhere now.
if it don't sell, we can redo it again.
Yeah, it's not bad, it's a good rental area.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we set the reserve on this property and advertise it for 15,000. We have a motion and second, any more discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Commissioner Myers,
Yes.
Commissioner Cleary.
Yes.
Do y'all wanna continue to run them for 1 month, or do you want me to extend this out until March?
Andy, I'd like to run this one, I don't know, I'd like to run, I think this one's too. I think.
So let's run it for a month and then address it after that.
Depending on my title deadlines and stuff, I'll try to get this one ready so we can unseal the bids, February.
In
If
the
you
lot,
can, the timeframe, if not, we'll do it in March.
we have 2 outstanding pieces of property right now.
Yeah.
All right, so we have 2 outstanding pieces of property. We continuation on the North Whaley Street, and we got this property right here. I just think that I had a couple other pieces of property, but I think right now that I would like to hold off on that until.
Those other 2 pieces were, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Administrator, but they were Southwick and Robinson, y'all had voted to sell. There was some work we had to do with to clear up the titles on those, so we hadn't done those. As soon as the back title work's cleared up, we'll run the ads to sell those, and once y'all voted to sell them at the minimum, or hopefully we'll have that February, March.
One of them is, the other piece of property I have was Sutton Street. That's in Commissioner Thomas's venue. And the other one, I had this gentleman email me about a piece of property on South 301, next to Brian Nippers Car Wash. It's in our property, it's 7.73 acres. I asked Byron for an estimate. He gave me a kind of a quick estimate, and I would like to have some more concrete comps on that piece of property.
So those are the only 2 we're gonna.
Yeah, right.
For the February meeting.
Yeah.
Well, it may be Southwick and Robinson Street, if we can get those cleared up in the next few days, but I think we probably can.
So we got continuous whaling, we got those 2, and then we got this one on Brunswick Street. The other 2, one guy, I'd just like some more information up there. We'll set up a minimum bid, get some more comps on there, and find out where we at, because this is on 301 South, going between, right next to Car Wash, on that side. So somebody's interested in that, but I'll
Okay.
wait till next month. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Items with commissioners.
Well, it's kind of like Groundhog Day movie, because I can almost hear Sonny and Cher singing, but I'm gonna go back to 2 subjects. One is the landing. Our former U.S. representative kind of chastised me a while back, because it's embarrassing the state of that land that we've got. This is what, 2 years? We've got to make some action and put somebody in there. We lost the person that was we voted on. But it's embarrassing. That's a major, that's a very much used land, and it's an embarrassment to this board. And no matter what we agree to and don't agree to, and 3-2 and 2-3, we've got to take some action and get that done one way or the other. It's embarrassing to our board.
Yes.
I got the same phone call. Administrator to address those bathrooms. So we probably need to discuss the demise of that building itself.
Maybe we should add this to the same work session about how to actually push through and do this.
I'm good with that.
We got to come together on this thing. This is a big deal.
Mr. Chairman, I think this is a broader discussion, and I think it's gonna be more than a work session on there. And I think it's more extensive work session that I need to have with y'all to address a lot of issues with J.C. Landing.
It's pretty broad. It's been 2 years going.
Well, I think we need to start somewhere, because don't we still have a leak in the roof on the building? Yes, we do. I went down and looked at the building, I went on the inside.
We'll add to that work session agenda, at least touch base on it.
Yeah, that'd be good. The second thing, it's nice to have, anybody got a comment on that? I'll see that part forward to that. Second thing is, I was asked or volunteered, whichever way it was, about the tourism board with the land. I've been talking with Will, and been talking with Andy, and I knew that whatever does come up, it's going to have to be something we can do 5-0 on. So I have this from Andy, and I'm going to go back to Will with it. And basically we would have use of the county government would have use of the landing of the building as we choose. So there's no cost, we'd have use of it. I did ask Will that, just as we did with Ralph Tratnell, that any repairs that they're gonna make a monetary amount on, it needs to be qualified. So Will's gonna get a list of exactly what they're talking about doing, not just a number, not just a random number, say $30,000, and it'd be anywhere. So exactly what they're gonna do for that value. That value would be a sublet for 15 years. They would have to use the building at that time, we'd get it back in better shape. If we needed it personally as a county for an event, we would have the use of it without cost. So I think those covered the things we talked about, did not. I think the only thing that Annie brought up was, without surveying a scope of exactly telling them what area they're responsible for, whether it be 20 feet from the edge of the building or what, because you would explain that, Andy, your concern?
You know, typically with contracts that's involved in any type of land, you know, to be very precise with them, I like to include the legal description of the properties in there. This is one that the county was given pretty much the whole landing back in the day when it was deeded to the county. We're only talking about doing a contract for one building on J.C. Landing. And what I was telling Mr. Hickox earlier was, you know, when I do a contract like that, there's no address there. There's no, I mean, somebody could read that and think you're talking about the building down there by the river versus, I mean, so for me to sit here and describe what we're actually leasing to them is going to be very hard for me to do. Actually, it's going to be impossible to do because I don't have a survey of any type to say, all right, we're leasing this property out and the curtilage around there to 20 feet. So, you know, like I said, with that
You can name the
caveat,
building or something, but just to
I
cover
mean,
this.
it's commonly known, I think,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's kind of one of those things, I don't like doing a contract and not doing it just right. So that gives me some kind of cause for concern there, and that was one of the issues.
Just to repeat what it is, so basically, the agreement would be a 15-year sublet to the tourism board for them for them to promote the county with. So they're going to be using it to promote the county. Tourism events here, they're going to make $30,000 repairs to it, which they're going to have to qualify to us what those repairs are. We'll get a list. This is what they're going to do. Anything beyond that, they'd have to come back before the board or for administrator, whichever they choose to do. And we get it back in 15 years, it's improved. In the meantime, they're using it to increase the county with tourism, and if we need it as a board or as a county, we can use it free of charge.
So you're gonna take that back to the tourism board, to Will, and
Yeah, our attorney wrote it based on what we hashed back and forth on,
Okay.
and then if they agree to it, then I'll bring this back to you guys and see if y'all agree with that or not. Is there a problem with it? Is there something you don't agree with that?
Yeah, I'm not gonna agree with it.
What is it you want to
I'm not gonna agree with giving a building away for 15 years for 30 grand. I say we fix the building and then we allow them to use it to promote the county. These contracts is too particular. I just think if I saw it take 30 grand, we can get a grant and do that.
Well, you know they're an arm of the county. They're
I don't know what they
promoting
are.
this,
I
okay?
don't know what they are.
So let's not, we're subletting it out to a private entity.
No, I know that.
These guys are the ones that bring the catfish thing here, and
I
the
know
bottom
that.
jam, and these are attracting people into our business.
That's a building we own, just like we need to fix it up, like you expect
Well, I'm
to
sure
fix the landing up.
But I'm sure if we're willing to spend the money and fix it up, I'm sure they'd be happy to take it just like that without us. I mean, why would they not? But the problem is we haven't done that.
I know.
Just like the bait shop, we've not done that either. We have an opportunity for someone else to spend their money.
Dates, I'll tear it down, start all over.
That's about where we're at. Now, it might be where we're at with the shack if we don't do something.
How long
I
has
just
it been
asked,
since we used that building, the one you're talking about for
do
the
we use
tourism?
it all?
Never since I've been
Right.
That's what I'm saying. I don't see what the problem is with this. We're not gonna spend tax dollars. Let me repeat it. We're not gonna spend tax dollars to fix it up. They're gonna do it, and it's still our building, but
That is tax dollars.
it's through, it is, but they have the use of that through the hotel motel. It's not something you're gonna get in your budget either way. It's money that won't come out of us, of a digest increase, not digest.
Can we do a 15-year, Herschel? I think there was some discussion on that at one time.
if it's an intergovernmental agreement, which this one, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can do it through an intergovernment, you can do it up to 50 years on an intergovernmental agreement, but with a private person, person or some other entity, you can only do it in 12 months, you can only bind the board for 12 months, but since they are,
An arm of the
I
government.
think we don't have the money to do it either way, so why not let them do it? If we want to spend the money, then, okay, we got the money,
Go ahead and take it to them and then bring it back and we'll get into some more discussion on it.
We need to do a work session.
we just gotta take, guys, we gotta take this personal stuff out of some of the folks. That's just personal. This is business. And if someone else is gonna spend money to fix
You
that
can't
problem.
change my mind right now.
I
So we're
realize
gonna
that.
do it through the
You can do it
discussion.
personal if you
And
choose.
this is nothing personal. I'd like to discuss it. If $30,000, we own the building, we could fix it up like we do other buildings, okay?
We can
It's not
spend
personal.
money.
There's nothing but commissioner, nothing but personal in this commission.
Why don't we just do the same thing with the land? Why don't, if we're gonna spend money, let's go ahead and.
That's what I was saying.
Let's
Tear
do
it
that
down
too.
and let's put another building there and move on.
All right,
We can raise another 2 minutes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Go back to the landing. I've been down there and went inside, looked, seen since they vandalized it. Sat down there the other day for a couple of hours and watched four-wheelers come off the hill on a regular basis. And I'm not so sure, and I haven't made my mind up yet, I'm not so sure that if we just take that building down and if somebody wants to sell bait, bring a trailer down here and set it up and sell the bait. They selling bait up on the hill. They're not selling bait at Williamsburg. They're not selling bait at Pig Landing. They're not selling bait at Upper Upper Landing. So, you know, I think if I was gonna be down there selling bait, I'd just soon have me a nice pull-down building that I brought down there that looked decent. Because the building is falling down.
That's about what Ralph was saying, doing, actually, was he's gonna pull the building down.
Yeah, that's what he basically wanted.
Yeah.
Because the building, Kevin, you went and looked at it, it's falling down there.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, and it's getting worse every time it rains. But let's table it.
You said you got somebody up selling bait, right? Somebody selling bait?
I know, but I'm just saying, that's what we do. We table it and we don't ever get anything
So
done.
somebody selling bait up on the top, right?
Somebody's selling bait on top of the hill, and Henson's selling bait.
He's talking about not the top of the land, he's talking about that there's a bait shop.
It's less than a mile.
Less
Yeah,
than a mile,
yeah, it's not right by the driving.
I think we just need to tear it down. You got somebody selling bait.
Well, you got other issues, a lot of people need to, they like the fact there's a bathroom.
Nobody wants to really sell bait down there.
Bathrooms down there.
They want those rental properties at the top of the hills, what they
Yeah.
want. Cause they can make some money there. I don't care if you sell bait from daylight to midnight, you ain't make no money
No.
selling bait. You can't sell no crickets. Didn't make any money on that.
Well, then if that's the case, tear it down. I mean,
Well, I think it's
Tear
mainly
down
having
that-
somebody down there
Yeah.
to monitor the place so the bathrooms are not continually destroyed. I mean, there's a lot that goes. Lake Grace, typical example. Since we got the police to live out there, no complaints. I talked to the guy the other day, hadn't had any donuts or anything done out there. Once you get somebody established down there, it can be upgraded and taken care of, but as it is now, it's just a free-for-all.
Well, we don't have.
Well, everybody we tried to
They were vandalized.
sign an agreement with said no.
We don't have anybody monitoring other lands we have, so we got cameras on us.
Yeah, but they're not as nice as JC either. I mean, they put a pile of money, the DNR put a pile of money into that land, and you got something down there, y'all talk to him, y'all know what I'm talking about. We got the opportunity to have something to draw people in. Look at the other counties that have landings. Look, you know, Bentley's is right there off the river, and it's nothing, but how many of us in here have been to Bentley's to eat a steak? And, you know, you don't have to have a steakhouse, but you gotta have somewhere decent, especially a decent bathroom and things like that.
Is that county owned facility?
Do I?
Is Bentley's county?
I don't know. I don't know if it is.
It's probably.
Yeah.
And y'all can't compare Bentley's with down there, cause Bentley's not right across from Rainier.
Anything else, Mr. Roberts?
So I'd like for us just to keep asking and find somebody who wants to go down there and run a bait shop. I mean, we have to put it, you know, if he had to drag a building down there, it'll be his building, he can go back and do with it. When most people are not gonna sell bait except during fishing season.
couldn't go down there now and catch a fish if you had nets all over the place, you couldn't catch them.
Okay, Commissioner Thomas?
So that means if we're gonna do that, would them come and bring a building, the contract has to be totally rewritten?
There is no contract right now.
There ain't no contract right
There's
now.
nobody.
Well, I'm talking about the last one that Andy pounded out.
I think if you're just gonna bring a building down there, it changes the scope of it, because the last one we took into consideration a lot of different avenues, if his sole purpose is just to bring a building down there to sell bay, I think it'll be a lot simpler. I mean, but again, it all kind of depends on what y'all want that person to do.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's right. And so if you
It's
want,
gonna
you want to do it, there's all kind of options. If you want to bring a trailer down there and sell bait during season, then you can do a permit and do it on an ad business. You can have multiple people come down and sell bait.
Are we gonna maintain a restroom still there?
Yeah, we maintain the restrooms up there. We are maintaining them up there. We gotta go there and redo them. But the facilities work, the doors are down there, but somebody went through over the holidays and hit the sheetrock. And they've done that before. We got them on cameras. We got the four-wheelers on camera down there too. So, you know, it will be an ongoing thing. And we've had them vandalized. We've had them vandalized at Lake Grace when people have been out there. So, you know, we work out a plan.
Commissioner Creed? All right, so it's been rather long meeting. I don't think there are any comments I have. I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
Give that motion.
We have a motion, second.
The motion, right?
Yeah.
Who seconded?
Number 6, adjourn.
All right, Chairman, you got